All right, we are on. Welcome everybody to interview number 3 of Learn How to Control Your Mind. I have the pleasure of having the beautiful Ali Sugars with me tonight, and she is the host of the Purple Warrior podcast. And I won't say any more. I'm going to let her explain what that is all about. So Ali, welcome.
Thank you, Sandra.
Great to be interviewing you tonight, and I'm sure that the information you're going to share with everybody is going to be very valuable. So first of all, tell us about you and what you do and how you got started in what you're doing now.
Oh goodness, where do I start? Okay, so yeah, I am the host and the executive producer of the Purple Warriors podcast, and the whole podcast is all about creating awareness and healing for domestic violence survivors, family and abuse survivors, and also for workplace abuse as well, and things like sexual harassment. So the whole purpose behind the podcast is actually to help these ladies to rediscover, and men, I might say men as well, because it's not just ladies who suffer domestic violence. It's all about helping them, rediscover their voice and their confidence and their strength, and to just remember again to be the incredible people that they actually are. They've always been this person, but they've probably just forgotten it because of the experience that, that they've been through. So within the podcast, I interview a lot of different people in a lot of different modalities and practitioners and services and products. And the whole aim behind that is to make available to the listeners a lot of different resources that they can access as they need to. Because what I have found in my own experience, which I'll go into in a minute, is that, one package doesn't fit all, if you like.
Sure.
You have to kind of find what works for you.
Absolutely.
And it's also about working with the people that you're comfortable with as well. That's really, really important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what the podcast is about, if that makes sense.
Yes. Totally.
So the way I got into this, well, okay, I could go on forever here, but I promise I won't. So my story is that I have personally survived 3 different domestic violence relationships.
Wow.
So yeah, it sounds wow when I say it, but it's kind of, I've come through it, so it's easy for me to talk about now.
Sure.
But my first experience was with my first boyfriend, who, when I was 16 years old, and he was emotionally abusive and sexually abusive to me. But ironically, I didn't see that at the time. He was my first boyfriend. He was my first everything. He was my first love. And, because he had emotionally abused me, I kind of thought that I had to do the other things to keep him happy.
Sure.
So, but, thankfully my parents actually, I don't know if they actually saw the extent of what was going on, but they saw enough to be able to help me out of that relationship. So, thank goodness. That didn't last very long. And soon after that, I met the man who was going to be my first husband. And we got married at a very young age of 20 years old. So wait for this. When I was 23, we had a lot going on in the first 3 years of our marriage. So we had a mortgage that we couldn't afford. My husband was out of work. So we decided to create our own income and start a home-based business. And we also had 2 children under the age of 14 months.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, lots of pressure there for young people. Yeah.
It was, and they weren't, the kids were surprises, let's put it that way.
Yep.
Beautiful surprises. But also after the birth of both the kids, I was actually personally diagnosed with postnatal depression. So I was dealing with that on top of it as well.
Sure.
To add something else into it, my husband, unbeknownst to me at the time, started to take drugs.
Wow.
So you can imagine, all that stuff compounding into just this boiling pot.
Yes.
And unfortunately, my husband chose, and I will say chose because it's a choice to be abusive. He chose to be, abusive towards me. And it was again, emotional abuse. Verbal, financial abuse. He was physically abusive in the sense that he would throw things.
Right.
But because he never hit me, kicked me, punched me, once again, I didn't see it as domestic violence. Those words never entered into my mind until my dad, bless him, handed me a book, a little purple booklet all about domestic violence. And he just said, read this. And I read it from cover to cover, and it really, for want of a better word, hit me that I was actually in a domestic violence relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
You normally, you're right though. When you think of domestic violence, you think of physical mostly. Mostly that's your go-to when you think of that.
It is.
But as you said, there's other forms of that. You know, there's the emotional abuse, there's the financial abuse. Yeah, so it's, and I guess physical in a way when things are thrown at you and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing, you know, what I'm learning as I'm getting more and more into what I'm doing, you know, the different types of abuse that there are.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, my dad, bless him, helped me get out of that marriage again, and
Yep.
the abuse started on the kids as well. So we all removed ourselves from the situation. However, we're still going. I told you it was all.
This is why you're so good at what you do, because you've experienced it, right? And
Exactly.
what did I hear a couple of weeks ago? Someone said this to me and it stuck with me, and it's, our mess is our message. So when you're looking for your purpose in this world, our mess is our message. So basically the crap that you need to work on is what your message is to the world.
Dude, I love that. I might
it's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, I just kind of stuck with me and I went, yeah, that is really, really true.
Wow. Oh,
our mess is our message. Yeah, no, definitely. So anyway, sorry for interrupting you. Let's keep going with your story.
So anyway, so when I came out of that relationship, you know, it was really good for a few years and I was by myself, but I still was telling myself this story in my head that I was the wife and I was the mother. I wasn't necessarily, you know, allowing myself to be me, Ali Sugars. You know, I was identifying myself as someone. So I had the thought that I still had to have a man in my life to make me complete, and I still had, you know, to provide my children with a two-parent household, which isn't a bad thing, but you know, because I saw that's what my parents had, but that was the way I thought I had to create my happy life. So I met a man online and I married him far too quickly, and unfortunately he was abusive in the sense of probably not the extent of the other two, but he was neglectful. He was financially abusive, and he was really controlling. Manipulative is the word I would use for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, thankfully, given the knowledge that I then had, I was able to kind of end that relationship a lot quicker.
Yep.
And get out of it. So, you know, that's 3 relationships. When I came out of that one, I realised, you know, it kind of came to me that I don't need to be a wife. I don't need to have a man in my life. I just need to be me. So I literally went on a self-discovery journey to find out who I was, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I'm still on it. I mean, I think we're always on it.
I think, yeah, absolutely. We're always on it, on that journey. It's not something I think that ever finishes.
No, that's right. But I mean, as you can probably imagine, for people who haven't experienced abuse, and I know it's not just in this situation as well, it's in a lot of other, you know,
workplace situations will definitely have that whole verbal abuse and, you know, that kind of belittling of people and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so when you come out of that situation, I describe it as feeling like a shell of yourself, you know, because you just don't know who you are. And the reason for that is because you have been told so many lies about yourself over and over and over again that you actually start to believe them when none of it's true.
Yep, absolutely.
So, you know, it's all about, and I don't pretend to be an NLP practitioner because I'm not.
Yep.
You know, I hear a lot of people talk about rewiring your brain.
Yes.
That is exactly what I have had to do for myself.
Yep.
You know, and as I said, remind my brain and my thought patterns to believe that I am wonderful. You know, I'm
Yes.
a beautiful person. I
Yes.
am worth it,
Yes.
and I do matter.
Yes.
You know? So it's all those all those compounding things that kind
Yeah.
of.
So that's, I mean, that's been my theme for my interviews this month, is all about our mind and getting out of our head and these stories that we make about ourselves from when we were very little to all the way through our adulthood, that someone says something to you and it becomes this anchor that is what you think you are about. And until you start to kind of peel back those onion layers of that and realize, well, that's not really who I am, and I don't have to be that person, and I don't need that external validation to be that person. I need to be okay with who I am in me.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and just getting that message out there, might trigger somebody that is finding themselves in that situation and going, right, well, hang on a minute. I fit this category. What do I need to do? What can I do to help myself? Because it really is you have to help yourself first. No one else can
You
do
have to
it
be
for
ready.
you.
Yeah, you have to be ready.
Yes, absolutely.
I wasn't ready.
Yep.
Because I didn't know any better, you know
Yep.
what I mean? But I
Yeah.
got to the stage for me when it was enough is enough, you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to take this anymore. I think 3 times is enough.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like you said though, you're on a journey to learn, and obviously you hadn't learnt the lesson well enough to realize. So you were doing that same old thing, that this is what you needed to do to feel worthy, to feel that love, to feel that connection, to feel enough, so to speak, as a person from
Yeah,
someone else rather than from yourself.
that's right. And I mean, ironically, you know, what I said was that I felt that I had to have a man in my life. I had
Yes.
to have it to be complete. Ironically, when I let that go completely and just thought, stuff it, I don't care anymore. If it
Yep.
happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Ironically, I now live with the love of my life. You
Yeah,
know?
see, it's amazing when you let go of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What actually opens up for you when you heal that part of your life.
Mm,
It's amazing. Like, I know with my own experience, with my husband, my first marriage, I was very I don't know if bitter is the word, but it took me a while to get over that. But and it wasn't until I dealt with my shit and my stuff
yeah.
did that open the way for me to meet Dave. So, and there you go. And the rest is history. I know, isn't he lucky? 13 years later, it's like, yeah, like, hello.
Someone Someone said to me, because Craig and I have just celebrated 7 years together, and people always say, the 7 years, you're feeling
Yep,
it. And I'm
yep,
like, no, not
yep,
one.
yep, yep. That's it. That's it. Well, I used to get that all the time because my first marriage ended at 7 years, and it was like, oh, the 7 year itch. I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know, really. But anyway, yeah, we've doubled that, haven't we, babe? That's awesome. Here he is.
He's walking in the background.
Yeah, it's all good. So obviously your life journey has brought you to this. So with your Purple Warrior, you tell us a bit more about that work, how that works. I know you kind of said a bit at the start, but in order, you have people on that deal in this specific area. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit
Yeah,
more?
within the last couple of weeks, I've kind of honed in a little bit with what I'm doing with the podcast. And I'm certainly aiming at healing and awareness, and recovery strategies for the survivors. And I never use the word victims
Yep,
because we are survivors. And
absolutely.
again, it's all about mindset,
Mhm.
and share recovery strategies for them.
Great.
So, I have interviewed some incredible people. And you know what amazes me is like me, people's stories have led them into what they're doing. It is
Yeah.
incredible. I won't say each and every one, but the majority of people I interview have got some sort of story, even if they don't
See?
share it on the podcast.
Yeah. Your mess is your message.
Yes, message your message. I'm going to write that down.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, it absolutely is good. Yeah,
But yeah, we have all types of guests. I mean, I've got a couple of people lined up. One lady's going to come on and talk about tapping.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, the EFT. Is that EFT tapping? Yeah, I've heard of that before. Yeah.
I've got quite a few NLP practitioners and, Reiki masters. I've had a lady who comes on and she sells like fidget products.
Yep.
Or mainly she aims them at, autistic or special needs children. However, they can also be used for stress.
Yeah.
I used to use her products when I was going through another experience at work.
Yep.
Where I was having sexual harassment and workplace bullying, and I was using these stress tools, fidget tools. So, it's the people who come on are incredible. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who else. There's so many I can't even think about.
Yeah.
Tomorrow actually is a very, very important, to go off topic a little bit, is a very important episode. I'm talking about how someone can cope if they're in a domestic violence relationship and they're in a lockdown situation.
Right, yes. Okay, great topic for what's relevant at the moment. Absolutely. So how can someone log into your podcast or get onto that to listen to that?
So they can go to, I think it's purplewarriors.podbean.com, and I'll send you the link. So you
just
can
pop it in the comments. We'll pop it in the comments so people can find it.
So they can go there and listen to the episodes for free. So we were doing 2 episodes a month, and I have recently upped it big time to 2 episodes a week because there's so many people wanting to come on and share their stories and their services.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. And I think it's something now that is being spoken about a bit more. It's a bit more out there, and especially with things that have happened recently, people are just not going to be silent anymore, and they want things to be done. And I guess if we can, when you're in the situation, it's a lot harder, as you know, to see it. But it could be just one little word that you or your guest says that triggers something for someone, and then they just take a look.
That's exactly right. And the other thing I really hope is that, not only the survivors hear this podcast, but anybody else who might know someone who could be in a situation.
Absolutely.
I hope that it educates them to be able to recognise it when you see it, because it's not always easy, and I could talk for hours on that. But, that is the other big aim of the podcast, is to educate the greater public on how they can help someone.
Yeah, because it may not necessarily be them, but they may know a loved one or a friend or someone that has confided in them about stuff, and then you've gone, wait, hang on a second, this is DV. They need to do something about it. I have a question. Go on. I'll ask you my question. I was just going to say, your name for your podcast, The Purple Warrior. Now, did that come from the purple book that your dad gave you? Or is it just coincidence that they're both purple?
No, it's not really coincidence. Purple, if you don't know, is actually the awareness colour for domestic violence.
I thought it was, but then I just thought it was interesting that you said that your dad had given you that. So
it's the purple is for domestic violence. The warriors is because, to go one step further, we're not victims, we're survivors, but I want to help people become warriors. Maybe that's my tagline.
Yeah.
So that's the whole aim behind the name. So the purple warriors, that's what I want my listeners to think of themselves as.
Yes, beautiful. What were you going to say? Sorry, you were.
I have no idea. I don't remember.
That's all right. That's okay. It might come to you. So my last question is, so what's your key message for tonight?
Help is available to everybody, no matter what stage you are at. And you may go and hear about things, certain modalities, like crystals, Reiki, NLP, meditation, all kinds of stuff like that. And it might not be for you, but there is something there for everybody that is going to help you, as I think I mentioned it before, you've got to find what works best for you. Yep. The thing I started doing at home alone was mirror work. And And I prefer to refer to it as mirror play, because I don't like the word work. I like to play.
Yeah.
You know, and it's as simple, it sounds simple, but it's not actually when you start to do it. It's actually quite difficult when you look into your eyes in the mirror and you tell yourself, I love you.
Mm.
And particularly, you know, for me, and I remember when I first started doing it, I would just bawl my eyes out. I would look at myself and tell myself I love you and go, oh, bawl my eyes out.
Yep.
Practice it over and over again, and you train your mind to believe that it's true. And then you can create your own affirmations, and you can speak them out loud to yourself while you look yourself in the eye. It is a powerful thing to do, and that's how I started.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, mirror work is hard. I've tried doing that myself, and it is very, very challenging. But I like that you call it mirror play. It's a bit more fun that way.
Because otherwise you just go, oh, mirror work.
Yeah, but it is. But I can see that how, you know, you telling yourself that constantly, how then it starts to become part of just what you know, just like everything else that you've been told constantly becomes part of what you know and who you are. So, yeah.
That's right. Now for me, it's actually part of my routine, you know, whereas I get out of the shower in the morning, I get dressed, I clean my teeth, and I just go, you're awesome, you know.
I love it. I love it. A bit like that little girl that does the thing on the bath vanity and she's jumping around. Have you seen that video? My house is awesome. My family's awesome. I love my house. I love my life. And and it's the best video ever. I love it. I love my mom. I love my dad. I love myself. It's so awesome. It's the best. She's got this beautiful, beautiful curly long hair, and she's just gorgeous. I'll pop it up in the chat in the comments if I find it. But
can I tell you, it sounds like my daughter.
It's the best. I love it. It's great.
Awesome. So I suppose the other message I want to give people is that it might take a bit of trial and error to find the right thing for you. Yeah. But once the penny drops, you just know it. You know, whether it's the right modality, the right person.
Yep.
You're just going to know. You're going to feel comfortable, and you're just going to go, oh, that's it.
That's it. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ali. That was great information. Thanks for jumping on tonight and sharing with us your personal story and what you're doing now to help others. And I value it a lot, because I think it's definitely something that we need in this world. And if you are someone that needs to hear this, or you know of someone that needs to hear this, you know, somehow get them to have a look at this or share it with them, or however you feel comfortable in doing this. We will pop the links in the comments below. And thank you again, guys. I will see you again next week with a new one. And have a great night. Good luck. Stay safe.
Thank you, Sandra.
Bye.